Every time I've gone to a competition, I've learned something that I want to incorporate into my bar.
What's one thing you see other bars doing as far as cutting corners that's becoming popular that you will never do?
No bartender wants to be a manager. I've been that guy. I've been the bartender that's been forced to be a manager. You don't want to do that, but it's imperative. You have to do it. You have to.
Throughout my career industry experience, one of the biggest indicators of a great bartender is their ability to build and fuel growing communities, because it's more than making just drinks. Today, we're out here catching up with Dustin, military vet, former bar back, and Houston's best bartender from Speed Rails out here in Bryan, Texas, a home of about 300,000 people. He owns 2 bars. One is West End Elixirs Company, and the other one is a word of mouth speakeasy. From security guard all the way to bar owner, Dustin has already shown us that work ethic can really drive a business forward. So why this story matters is because bartenders, they have to be more than just drink makers. They have to be out here building communities and building their brand so that way that other people can get opportunities. Speed competitions, cocktail creativity, leadership behind the bar. These are all the things we need to do to help build the next hospitality professionals who are going to be our next generation's leaders. If you're an up-and-coming bartender, a venue owner, or just somebody who loves seeing hospitality industry stories, you're going to love this interview. Make sure you subscribe to the Speed Rails YouTube channel, as I'll be highlighting some amazing hospitality professionals all around the state and the nation. But yeah, check this out.
And so you're not a bartender, you're a bar owner.
I'm both. I bartend and I own the bars that I bartend at.
Man, and this is a nice tucked away spot here in Bryan, Texas, which as I was coming in, I saw you guys had a Twin Peaks. I saw you guys had malls and big, you know what I'm saying, shopping centers, and this is a real city. Mm-hmm. And so you're telling me you guys have how many people here in the city?
This town's about 300,000 between Bryan and College Station. It's called BCS, Bryan College Station, because literally one street separates the two cities. So it's basically one giant city.
And I mean, with you guys, how long have you all been here now?
The West End Elixirs Company in its first location started in 2015, so it's going on 10 years now.
What's your customer demographic here?
Occasionally we'll have some undergrads come in, but for the most part it's young professionals, professors, lawyers, you know, that kind of.
Is this a side of town that's been growing over time? I mean, well,
sure,
a city that's been growing over time.
Yeah, I moved here in 2011, and you wouldn't even recognize the city between 2011 and now.
Let's start all the way back when you first started. I know military, that was some of your first true professional experience, and then from there you made it to hospitality. What was that transition like?
It wasn't that much of a difference, because I was in the infantry, so you had to do a lot of attention to detail before you go on patrol or a mission. You had to make sure everyone's got everything, their ammo, their batteries for their MPGs, batteries for your radio, you know, make sure your weapon's clean. And with being a bartender and bar owner, it's kind of the same thing. You just, you know, we call it PCCs, PCIs, pre-combat checks, pre-combat inspections before we step off out onto a combat mission. So same thing when you open a bar, you know, are all your juices filled, all your syrups filled, you got enough ice, you know, garnishes, everything.
I imagine you probably played sports too before you was in the military.
Yeah, I played rugby all my life.
So
and I wrestled. Yeah.
So it seems like you've been kind of always navigating yourself towards these community-based professions and hobbies and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Have you found that what's been keeping you happy also?
I'm getting a little bit too old to keep playing contact sports like rugby. So to get my competitive nature, the exercise it needs, I've been doing a lot of bartending competitions.
Especially coming from the military, coming from your background from sports and into the industry, what has been the biggest mental shift?
My mentality definitely had to change going from the military into service industry, because I was an infantry squad leader, and so if somebody forgets something like their MPGs, or they forget to pack enough ammunition, that could be a life or death situation. So I had to shift how I reacted to things big time, because you know, in the Marine Corps, you do something like that in a real life situation, you get taken out behind the tent and get the shit beat out of you. So you can't do that in the service industry, obviously. And I had to adjust as far as when people forget things, that it's not necessarily a life or death situation. It's you know, it's trivial, but at the same time, they still have to, you know, learn their lesson.
And I know you came into the industry, I think, as security, then bar back, then bartender. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I was a door guy when I first got out of the Marine Corps, and one day the bar back didn't show up for work, so they made me be a bar back, and then I became a bartender, and then eventually a bar owner.
When in that process did you realize, like, okay, I want to own a bar, I'm ready to do this?
Well, I got really into craft cocktail bartending kind of by mistake, because I was just a college bartender It was at this like honky tonk dance hall, and they specialized in like whiskey cokes, vodka sprites, like this liquor and this mixer kind of thing. But one day this cowboy came up to the bar and asked me to make an old fashioned. I didn't know how to make it, and I kind of felt ashamed of myself for just his reaction to it. Like he's just kind of like, you don't know how to make a old fashioned, and I didn't want to have to explain, like, look, man, I'm a bar back. I don't know where the girls are, because it was all girl bartending staff, and I was like the only dude behind the bar. And so I learned how to make it through YouTube, and then I just started to learn how to make anything I ever heard of. Whiskey sour, Manhattan, Vieux Carré, if there was a drink that crossed my ears, I learned how to make it. And eventually I started wanting to make all these drinks, and that wasn't really the environment. So I kind of set out with this dream of opening a cocktail bar. And then at the time, this is back in like 2014, there was no cocktail bars in this town at all. It was just, there was high volume bars, but there's no cocktail bars. And so when I said I was going to do my cocktail bar in this town, there wasn't a lot of faith. A lot of people were like, you're kind of an idiot. And when we opened, we got put on the Texas bucket list. One of my cocktails got published in Nico Martini's 100 Best Cocktails. We were in all these magazines for a while, and kind of solidified our brand.
Because a lot of people, they create amazing bars and they can't even get visible. They can't get noticed. How did you even get noticed in those moments in a town like Bryan?
Because we were the only game in town for cocktails. Like I said, there was restaurants that had a cocktail program, but they weren't like a cocktail bar. We were a true and pure cocktail bar.
Is it just foot traffic? Like, how do you make yourself be noticed? Because I don't see you guys pumping out content on social media.
I'm terrible at social media.
Since you've been here since 2015, I imagine social media wasn't even that big of a deal back then.
Yeah, a lot of it's word of mouth. If you really wow someone, they're going to tell people, and then they're going to tell other people, and then other people, and then they're going to start coming in, and it's kind of like, if you build it, they will come. If you build a quality, and you really put your heart and soul. Like I feel like I'm a good bartender. I'm a terrible businessman. Because I don't look at dollar signs really at all. Like, we're paying our bills, we're making money, but I look at what can I put out that people are going to enjoy and appreciate, and that's just the mentality I have.
That's a beautiful thing, and because of that, that means you're always sharpening your craft. You're always getting better. As you talked about, as you learned those cocktails back when you didn't know them. Mm-hmm. And now we were talking in the group chat with other bartenders. You've now done 11 bartender competitions, which is in the top 1% of bartenders. I don't even know, I'm just making a guess, but I know a lot of bartenders, and I know most of them haven't done one, and the ones I do know, it's around 3 or 4. You've done 11, and especially you're out here in Bryan, Texas. You also are traveling for these competitions. You have a family, you own a business, so that means there must be some value in you doing these competitions. What is that for you?
Every time I've gone to a competition, I've learned something that I want to incorporate into my bar, whether it's like how the wells are set up, efficiency, even for like some of these craft cocktail competitions I've done, like Bar Boss or whatnot. You learn like a new technique that you're like, oh man, that would be cool. Like, you don't necessarily want to steal that idea, but you want to take like the general concept of that idea and maybe make it fit yourself. So there's always something I learn. It's and something I incorporate into my bars. There's never been a competition I haven't taken something back in a positive way.
And do you think your regulars and your guests, they come in here, and the ones who might not get to travel as much, get a chance to come here seeing you put these new techniques in, and they feel like they get a chance to almost travel with you?
And actually, one of the guys is outside. He goes to LA all the time, and he says that we make better drinks than any of the bars in LA.
What does it mean to you to kind of like be a leader in the community out here?
It's definitely, I would say, kind of a pressure, because you have to knock it out of the park. Otherwise, it's
that word of mouth again.
Yeah, it's that word of mouth again. So you have to just bring it all the time. So it's a lot of pressure, but I work well under pressure. I'm not trying to squeeze out every dollar out of everything I can do. Like, we could probably raise our prices, and we could probably do a lot of other things, cut corners, but we don't.
What's one thing you see other bars doing as far as cutting corners that's becoming popular that you will never do?
Just their ingredients, just skipping on ingredients, or just getting rot gut liquor. Like, our well is what everybody else's top shelf is. Like, we don't try to skip. Like, you're paying for a cocktail, you're gonna get a cocktail. You're not gonna get, whatever thrown together.
Right, some batch with mystery vodka inside of it.
Yeah, we even have guns behind the bar.
Yeah.
So if you want soda, it comes out of a soda siphon. If you want Coke, we give you a little mini bottle of Coke. You know, we don't try to cut corners anyway.
And with your customer clientele that come in here, are they always typically ordering from the menu, or are they coming in with calls?
Almost always from the menu, but we have 107 cocktails on the menu. We have 5 original cocktails that are staying on the permanent menu. We have 100 classics that obviously we didn't come up with, but you know, you have to have them. And then we have 2 seasonals that rotate.
And how did you come up with that balance right there?
Kind of the greatest hits that we ever did. You know, a lot of those were seasonals, and then they were just like super popular, and then people were always like, "You need to bring that back," and then so we just threw it on the permanent menu.
And when it comes to you kind of like getting this information from your audience, is it just you kind of like having ears to the ground, or your bartenders that bring information to you too?
Both. You know, my bartenders are, I would say, top notch. You know, to be a bartender here, you have to make every 107 drinks that are on the menu in a time, and you get 0 mistakes. You get 3 looks at the build sheet, and that's it. So those are your lifelines, and you have to finish all 107 in under 3 hours, which is a lot of time, but still, it's not like you could just take your time on it.
So they're making 107 cocktails. What's happening? Is that like a day, an event?
It is a day. We advertise it, and people come in, and we sell all the cocktails for like a couple bucks each, just to get, you know, make sure we make our money back on it. But it's not like a day we make a ton of money. You basically break even, but it's just to prove yourself.
107 cocktails. That's enough to get at least 40 people lit.
Oh, it's a lot of people, yeah.
Challenges. What is the hardest part about running the bar that people don't understand?
All the administrative things. There's constantly a new law or a new fee or whatever that you don't know about until you get a letter in the mail saying you owe $20 to whatever. Just weird random things like that just pop up constantly, I feel like. And so just the administrative side of it, as far as owning a bar, that's just weird. And on top of all the taxes you got to pay.
You're also a family man.
Mm-hmm.
You have a wife. You have a 10-month-old. How is it managing a family, manage multiple businesses, and also, of course, being in the competition arena?
My mindset has definitely changed since getting married and having a daughter. I used to be all about the business. Like, that was everything. I was here every day, grinding it out, and that was, you know, the success of the bars, whether it's financial success or notoriety success, was always like top priority. But now I've definitely switch my mindset to, you know, we're making good money, so it's not like, you know, I'm giving up anything as far as that goes, but coming to the realization that, like, you know, they're not going to remember everything you ever bought them, but they'll remember the birthday shoot they missed, or the dance recital that you missed, or the sporting event that you missed, or anything like that. And that kind of really changed the way I look at things. So yes, you have to have a balance, but it's definitely tilted one way, and that's towards family for me.
That's beautiful, man. As obviously you age out, the bars here is done well, and the bars are ready to be passed on.
I'm so proud of my staff. Like, they kill it every day. They bring it, and they're striving to learn. They come to me with ideas, and like, we should do this, and I'm like, damn it, I wish I'd have thought of that. But you know, one day I actually want to pass this on to, you know, my longtime loyal staff, you know, because they deserve it, you know. So yeah, you know, instill like the work hard ethic and grind it out, but also the creativity aspect of things, and but more than anything, the quality assurance. You know, don't cut corners. Even if you can make a few extra bucks doing this or that, don't cut corners.
Do you think right now, the way the hospitality industry is, and I know you probably spent most of the time out here in Bryan, but in other cities, I'm starting to see that there's lack of opportunity for people who want to do more in the industry. You know, everybody's not able to get access to the capital to own a bar, or they're not with the group that's giving them advancement opportunities. Is that something that you've been able to see here in Bryan on the outside, or even here in the city itself?
I mean, there's every bartender wants to own their own bar eventually, but I will say you don't know what you're getting into. But no, I mean, I feel like there should be some classes as far as like how to capitalize on like the SBDC. Nobody knows what the SBDC is. It's Small Business Development Center. It's in almost every major city, or even in a minor city, and they, they'll build a business plan for you, and they'll actually present it to the banks. And usually, if the SBDC signs off on it, a bank's going to usually approve it. But also, financial literacy classes of how to incorporate investors and whatnot, and going about things that way. You could be the world's best bartender and best bar manager and not know how to own a bar. I mean, it's definitely different.
Do you think that they should be chasing the knowledge more so than chasing the bar?
You should definitely get knowledge first. Like if you're a and no bartender wants to be a manager. I've been that guy. I've been the bartender that's been forced to be a manager. You don't want to do that, but it's imperative. You have to do it. You have to know how things run, how numbers are run, how to source things. So it's
be resourceful.
You have to have done every job. I used to own a restaurant that was in the hotel across the street, actually. And then Marriott bought the hotel. So when our lease was up, they wouldn't let us renew because they were doing their own corporate thing. Totally outside the point. But, I was washing dishes. Do what you gotta do. I learned how to cook. I learned how to make every dish on there, even though I wasn't the chef. You just gotta learn how to do everybody's job and be willing to do everybody's job. You can't ask somebody to do something that you're not willing to do. Otherwise, they're gonna lose respect for you. So at the end of the night, we're mopping, we're cleaning. I'm mopping, I'm cleaning. I'm part of the ship, part of the crew.
Why do you still bartend so much?
I love it. I'll do it till the day I can't do it anymore. There's not a single drink that I don't like making. There's some drinks that are inconvenient when they're very busy. Like if we're slammed and somebody wants a Ramos Gin Fizz, they're like,
they do that to you
shit.
here?
Yeah, New Year's. New Year's was somebody asked for Ramos Gin Fizz, and I was just like, you got to be kidding me. I thought they put it in as a prank because I was on service well. They weren't.
Only one, or did you have to pump out a bunch of others?
I've only ever made the most I ever made at one time. I think was 5.
Okay.
But it's on the menu. You got to make it. You can't be like, no, I'm not making that today.
How much you charge on the menu?
I think it's like 15.
That's fair too. Yeah. Oh, you asking for it?
Yeah, but I saw Rhea. Was that her name?
Raya, yeah.
Raya, when she made a Ramos Gin Fizz in a minute, kind of put me to shame. So I'm looking forward to the Texas Best Bartender thing, so I can learn how she did that in under a minute.
She's one of the people that just embraced the suck.
Yeah,
it's like,
I do too, but
like I'm not gonna hate it. I'm gonna love it right now, so that when it happens, I'm already prepared. But absolutely amazing, man. I'm excited to see what these cocktails look like. But Dustin, out here in Bryan, West End Elixirs. What's the name of the bar? Word of Mouth?
Word of Mouth, yeah. It's a hidden speakeasy. It's in an alleyway. There's a 4-digit keypad to get in, and the code changes every day. But we also have our own cocktail menu in there as well. We do bottle service. It's more loungy than it is a cocktail bar. There's no social media on it. There's no signs. There's no windows. If you don't know where it's at, you'll never get to it.
Why do you like it like that?
I actually wasn't even going to call it anything. And then one day some guy was like, hey, how are people going to find out about it? I said, word of mouth. He goes, that'd be a pretty cool name for a bar. I was like, shit, all right. We're going to call it.
Are you even trying to make a bunch of money off of it, or is it just a spot?
No, it's just it was more for me. Yeah.
Yeah, hey.
But now the word's got now, and it's packed every night, so.
True speakeasy, man. Yo, Dustin, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Looking forward to watching your journey.
Yeah.